You're listening to Eating for Eden, episode 24. When it comes to doing something about climate change, your food choices matter. Thanks for tuning in to Eating for Eden, a podcast that takes a food-first approach to climate action. I'm your host, Jessica J. Schroeder, and I am passionate about food that tastes good and does good. I'll guide you with practical tips and help you thoroughly enjoy your food along the way. A common question that arises when people are considering moving to eating more plant predominant or even plant exclusive is whether this way of eating is inherently more expensive. With all manner of individually packaged convenience foods and plant-based alternatives to animal products popping up in grocery stores, it would be easy to jump to the conclusion that it's expensive to eat plant-based. While there certainly are individual plant-based food items on offer that are expensive, does this general dietary pattern need to come at a high cost? This question, and related questions, is what I will answer in today's episode. First, let's dive into the question of whether or not eating plant-based is inherently expensive. Let's consider a variety of food items one might purchase at the store. Consider produce to start. You can find fruits and vegetables as affordable as $1 a pound, or even less. Things like apples, bananas, carrots, cabbage, onions, oranges, potatoes, and so on. You can also find produce as expensive as $4 or more a pound for specialty items that are less common, like organic Romanesco or shiitake mushrooms, or when shopping at small stores that keep a low amount of stock on hand. Thus, the price of produce can depend on a variety of factors. It depends on what you're buying, where you're buying it, and other factors such as whether something is conventional or organic, or whether it is in its whole form or pre-prepared, such as a cup of pomegranate seeds or a bowl of cut watermelon rather than the whole fruit. But it is certainly possible, and often quite easy, to find a large variety of produce at an affordable price. Moving to meat and dairy, one can find cuts of chicken as low as a couple of bucks per pound, and beef around $7 per pound, though these are going to be pretty low quality and almost certainly come from a factory farm. Compared to high quality products, so things like grass-fed, pasture-raised, and the like, nearing double digits, with chicken around $7 to $10 per pound and beef starting around $8 a pound up through the high teens and beyond for nicer cuts of meat. Milk and eggs follow suit with lower quality products, and often those treating animals more poorly being the most affordable, and prices increasing with better quality options. Plant protein options vary widely in price. Bulk dried legumes and whole grains can be some of the most affordable items in the entire grocery store, and canned beans are pretty close in price as well. Tofu is very affordable, especially considering that organic options rival the prices of the lowest quality of meats. On the opposite end, plant-based meat alternatives meant to mimic burgers, sausages, and more can be pretty pricey. Nuts and nut butters vary in price depending on nut type, size of jar, producer size, and so forth. Peanut butter is the most affordable, followed by almond butter, and comparing brands at different stores can be a great way to ensure you're getting the most bang for your buck. The same goes for purchasing whole shelled nuts. Look to purchase these in bulk for the best prices. That covers generally the front and back of most grocery stores as well as some of the middle shelves. On the remainder of those middle grocery store shelves, with all manner of products from baking essentials and spices to pasta and jarred sauces to pretzels, cookies, and potato chips, prices again vary greatly depending on quality, convenience, relative scarcity, and so forth. Many of these items are, quote, plant-based, and others contain a variety of animal products. Some products are somewhat niche and are produced in smaller quantities and thus may reflect a higher price, but this can hold true for both plant-based items and those containing animal products. For instance, compare plant-based protein or snack bars at something like $2 to $3 each with a 100% grass-fed meat stick at a similar price. Some plant-based convenience items are more affordable, others are comparable to animal-based products. All this to say, as an overarching principle, there is no particular dietary pattern that is inherently more expensive than another. This is the case in large part because there are various ways of supplying foods within any given dietary pattern. This includes factors such as whether foods are marked up due to convenience, packaging, or pre-preparation, the quality of the food item. For example, is it hyper-local or is it conventional and mass-produced? Is it low quality, high quality, somewhere in between? Whether a food item is rare or common, whether you purchase food ready-made or buy the ingredients to prepare it yourself, and other factors as well. Thus, because eating according to any given dietary pattern can be done in an affordable or expensive manner depending on what items are purchased, we can rule out the claim that eating plant-based is inherently more expensive. Next, how much does it cost to eat plant-based? How much effort does it take to eat plant-based affordably? While I won't be able to provide you with a solid number here, we all live in different locales with varied stores and prices, not to mention different family sizes and food preferences, I will be able to paint with broad brushstrokes to provide a rough picture for how to go about eating plant-based affordably. There are general principles any of us can apply in our unique circumstances concerning what to emphasize and what to minimize or avoid. Here I will give you 3 general principles to keep in mind as you meal plan and shop. First is to emphasize affordable foods. When you meal plan and grocery shop, rely most heavily on the foods that give the most bang for your buck. Examples include dried and canned beans, tofu, whole grains, produce, and nuts and seeds. I'll comment on each of these a bit further. Dried beans, purchased in bulk, are one thing. Cooking them at home is both more affordable and tastier, in my opinion. If you have a pressure cooker, such as an Instant Pot, this is so easy. If you'd prefer to skip the extra step and go straight for canned beans, feel free. You pay a little bit more overall, but if the convenience is worth it to you, it's still an affordable option. Next, there's tofu. Tofu is a super affordable, high protein option, and it is so versatile. Check out episode 19 to learn more about the many ways you can use tofu. Next, whole grains. Also, purchase these in bulk. Look at the various grocery stores in your area and even consider comparing prices online as well to find the best prices. Keep in mind that some stores have particularly high prices when it comes to items like boxed crackers, flavored water, and high-quality animal products, but actually may be super affordable when it comes to their bulk aisles. Do a bit of homework to compare. Whole grains to consider include rolled oats or steel-cut oats, brown rice, corn grits or polenta, wheat and rye berries or similar grains like barley. And also, remember that dried beans and grains increase in volume and weight once they're cooked. So if you're comparing the cost of food by weight or volume at the grocery store, remember that these foods will expand and offer more once cooked. Many grains and beans increase to around 3 times their dried weight and size once they're cooked. On to produce. Again, remember that bulk usually saves money, and some items come in 1 to 5 pound bags, even things like lemons if you happen to use a lot like I do. Some go-to affordable fruits and vegetables include bananas, apples, oranges, grapes, carrots, cabbage, potatoes, onions. When it comes to greens, I always opt for those 1 pound containers. These may seem pricey when you have to fork over about $6 for something with few calories to contribute to your daily intake, But not only is there so much more to get from greens than just calories, 1 pound of salad greens is actually a lot. They'll go a long way. So I think that's a great value buy. Also, shop produce sales and shop produce in season to get the best prices. And bonus tip, if you want to have berries regularly, opt for frozen berries. I can usually get a 2-pound bag of organic mixed berries for a better price than 2 little dry pints of organic fresh berries. Also check out and compare other frozen fruit and veg to see what you might opt for in the freezer aisles of your own stores. And on to nuts and seeds. Peanut butter and almond butter and bulk nuts and seeds are all great options, and you can find those again better prices when you're shopping bulk. If you shop at a big box store like a Costco, this is a great option for purchasing nuts and nut butters. And also keep in mind that you can store whole shelled nuts and seeds in the freezer to keep them fresh for longer. I just don't think I would do that with nut butters. I want to add the caveat that affordable and expensive are relative terms. Someone receiving government assistance for their food purchases compared to someone with a decent amount of disposable income are going to think about this term or concept differently. So hopefully I'm not offending anyone on either end of the spectrum or anywhere in between. Hopefully these tips are helpful guideposts to map out an affordable way to eat plant-based. Okay, so that was emphasize affordable foods. Second, a logical counterpart to the first tip is to limit the pricey products. As just noted, everyone has a different food budget, so if you have the disposable income to procure a bit more of these items and choose to do so, that's all up to you. I want to highlight the sorts of items that can add up really quickly when you're not watching. One such item is plant-based meat alternatives. These can be a great purchase now and again. I've found that bringing my own Impossible Burger or Beyond Sausage to a summer cookout is a great way to join in social gatherings while eating plant-based. But I don't recommend making these a staple. If you need to lean on them a bit more heavily as you transition away from meat and toward more fiber-rich sources of protein like legumes, by all means do so. If you're increasing your fiber intake, you need to do that slowly. They can be a terrific source of protein for the initial stages of transition, but aim to keep them in that sort of role as you move to embrace more whole and minimally processed protein sources like legumes and soy products. I also suggest limiting plant-based dairy and egg alternatives, meaning plant-based butters, yogurts, cheeses, egg substitutes, and so forth. I'm all for having a go-to staple such as soy milk or some other plant milk and the occasional plant-based butter for baking special desserts here and there, etc. But I'm more in support of emphasizing affordable, whole, and minimally processed plant foods like fruits and veg, legumes, nuts, tofu, etc., over simply replacing all animal products with the ready-made plant-based alternatives. Instead, look for different sorts of swaps that are more affordable. For instance, if you're a big scrambled egg fan, tofu scrambles are a terrific affordable swap to make. If you're really big into cheese, check out the recipes linked in the show notes for a tofu feta and a tofu cashew ricotta that you can make at home. Making these items at home or using other swaps like nutritional yeast or chopped nuts and seeds are great ways to skip the marked up egg and dairy alternative prices. Also be wary of packaged snacks, cereals, and other convenience foods. Some things are by nature more expensive because they're small batch or local. Some are certified organic or non-GMO, which costs businesses more and bears out in the cost of their products. I have absolutely nothing against small batch, local, organic, and non-GMO. Many of these products are likely better for our health or the planet's because they use higher quality ingredients and or are more sustainable in their practices. Just be aware that these various factors may contribute to higher costs, and sometimes packaging can be misleading. Package size, shelf stability, and convenience are also factors that can play a role in price here. Where you can, limit the amount of these items you purchase. While some can be relatively affordable and contribute to the ease of meal prep, items like corn tortillas, Certain pastas and tortilla chips are examples that come to mind for me. Others, like little boxes of small batch breakfast cereals or specialty crackers, can really spike your grocery bill. Overall, where you choose to spend extra on these items, be aware of it. Intentionally choose it rather than simply letting it happen unawares. Third, adopt affordable practices, such as preparing your own food at home. I'll break this down into 4 sub-tips. 1, eat breakfast at home, or bring an on-the-go friendly breakfast with you to work or school, such as overnight oats, a smoothie, or a homemade breakfast burrito. I like to make these in large batches and freeze them for when I need a meal on the go. 2, pack a lunch if you're out of the house during lunchtime. A really easy way to do this is to cook a large enough batch of dinner so you automatically have leftovers. For example, most things I cook for dinner provide Daniel and I with at least 4 servings, 2 for a dinner together, and then 2 for lunch the following day. Another affordable way to pack lunches throughout the week is to cook up some grains and or beans at the beginning of the week to use to make salads or grain bowls to enjoy as weekday lunches. You can also roast up a pan of veg or cut up fresh veg while your grains or beans are cooking to have ready to toss into a lunch container throughout the week. 3, cook dinner rather than going out to eat. This may end up saving the most money, but can be equally as difficult to achieve depending on how prepared you are or aren't. Having a plan ahead of time is critical for this. At the end of a potentially stressful workday, we've already made tons of decisions and our willpower is going to be running low. It can be all too easy to default to eating out when we don't have a plan for dinner. So have a plan. And have backup plans for when you don't have a plan. It is completely understandable that there are times when we'll need to flex, so have easy go-to options that use pantry and freezer staples that you can throw together in 10 to 15 minutes, such as refried beans from a can and salsa for a taco dip, a pasta with jarred sauce, mashed white beans on toast, a tofu stir-fry with frozen veggies, etc. As far as meal planning goes, each person's approach will be different. But I recommend having at least one day a week when you sit down to plan out at least a rough sketch, if not a full-blown plan, for what meals you'll eat on what days, what items you still need to purchase, and so forth. 4, keep healthy snacks on hand. It's difficult to make decisions when you're hungry or even hangry. So if you work or attend school outside the home, keep a stash of healthy snacks on hand for when those hunger pangs arise and threaten to hijack your decision-making capabilities. Ideas include dry roasted nuts and seeds, fresh fruit, whole grain crackers, or hummus and veg. Finally, as we wrap up this episode, I want to draw us back to the focus of this podcast more broadly. Taking a food-first approach to climate action. While we've been talking about the cost of plant-based eating to our budgets, it's important not to lose sight of the climate impact of the foods we're considering. Data clearly shows that eating plant-based is easier on the planet's, quote, warming budget, so to speak. Remember that the highest emitter by far is beef, and that other animal products such as lamb, cheese, pig meat, and poultry also have relatively high emissions. Also keep in mind that the emissions of most plant foods are 10 to 50 times lower than most animal foods. That is huge. Refer back to episodes 1, 3, and 17 if this is news to you. That's where we talk about those general stats. If you'd like to see these comparisons for yourself, and I highly recommend you take a look, check out the interactive chart from Our World in Data linked in the show notes. Sometimes a powerful visual can make all the difference. So in summary, eating plant-based is better for the environment. It's easier on the planet's emission budget, we might say, and it is also a way of eating that can be easy on our own financial budgets as well. If others have told you eating plant-based is inherently more expensive, You are now equipped with the information you need to combat this falsehood and pursue plant-based eating in an affordable way. If you enjoyed this episode, pass it along to a friend. We need to get the word out to dispel myths cropping up and lower the barrier to entry for people curious about moving toward eating plant-based themselves. Also, if you haven't listened to it already, be sure to check out episode 8, Your Wallet on Plants, for more on the affordability of eating plant-based. If you have questions or topics you'd like me to address here on Eating for Eden, I'd love to hear from you. Send an email to edenandme@substack.com. Also, if you've been enjoying this podcast, please consider leaving a review. It's a great help for getting these important words out to others. And if you want recipes, check out edenandme.com, where you can find a variety of delicious, healthy recipes to bring what you're learning into the kitchen. Finally, become an email subscriber on Substack to have new podcast episodes delivered directly to your inbox. If you appreciate the work I'm doing and want to support the show, you'll also have the option of becoming a paid subscriber. That's all for now, friends. Until next time, be well. Thanks for listening to Eating for Eden. If you found this episode informative or inspiring, please consider sharing it with a friend. Climate change is an issue we all need to tackle together, so let's invite others to journey along with us as we continue the conversation and start taking action. Until next week, friends, take care.